Hey guys, if your gas gauge is off, stay tuned. I'm going to show you guys what you guys can do to potentially fix this problem. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So like I mentioned earlier, if you have a problem with your gas gauge not reading correctly, then I'm going to show you guys what I did to fix mine. Now when I first bought the truck, it had a quarter tank of gas left in it, and I figured I could drive it home. It was about a 40-minute drive home from where I purchased the truck, and just about 2 miles before I was able to reach my house, the truck started to stall and die. And right there and then I thought I bought a bad truck, and my wife was giving me an earful, and I told her I think it's just out of gas. Let's see if we can try to get it to the gas station. So I fired it back up, and it was literally driving on fumes, and I barely made it up to the gas station pump. I literally was like 5 feet away from the pump, and I couldn't push it up because there was a slight incline, and luckily I was able to just keep starting it and push it forward really quick before the truck died, and I was able to get some gas into the truck. So I was driving around for a while like this, knowing that the gas tank was off. I figure I can drive about 160 miles in the city before I had to worry about getting gas, and that's what I did for a while until I started researching what the problem was. I even went and bought a new fuel sending unit float, which basically controls the fuel gauge. The float goes up and down in the gas tank and tells the computer, where the gas is at. And I went and tested one using a voltmeter, and even though I did that, that ended up not being the problem, so I went and just returned that sending unit, and then I was back to square one. So I was doing some research and digging around T4R forums, and somebody had suggested that at the harness where the fuel pump actually is, sometimes that ground can go bad. And this truck is from Canada, so it's got a lot of rust, and I didn't really doubt it at that point in time. So what I ended up doing was I went to the back seat, pulled up the cover that covers the harness, and looked for the wire that was actually the ground wire. And I'll show you guys that right now. Alright you guys, we're in the back seat here of the driver's side, and all you need to do is just lift this seat up and you'll be able to access the fuel pump harness. So let's go ahead and just lift this up. You can see the carpet's in the way, but all you need to do is just lift this back. Alright, so you can see here there is a black plate in here that's just held on by 3 Phillips head screws, and it's not really important that you remove this. You can see I've got a couple other wires in here. This is my e-locker wire, so you probably won't have that. And then the one that you're interested in is this one over here on the right side. And you can see I've got a little wire coming out of it. This is the one I added. And all I did was I tapped into the appropriate ground wire in here, and I'll show you guys in a second what it is. And then what I did was I ran that wire to a ring terminal, and I scraped a little bit of paint off of the sheet metal here, and then used a self-tapping screw to run my new ground. So this fuel pump now has a fresh ground right here instead of wherever this wire goes to, which is probably some rusty spot somewhere. So let me show you guys which wire I tapped into and what I ended up using. Alright you guys, I removed the tape so you guys can see it a little bit clearer. So the wire you're interested in is this brown wire with black stripe, and it has a white dot on it. So that's the wire that comes from the factory that you want to tap into. And then this wire is my wire that I added. So what you're going to want to do is use one of these to tap into that wire, and basically you put your old wire in one of the circles, probably the inner one here, and then your new wire on the outer one. And then what you do is you take some pliers and you press this little metal pin down, and that'll cut the wire on both and connect them. And then you just close this guy up and it'll give you your connection. So that's how I did that. And then just find yourself a nice 14 gauge wire here. This wire in here is pretty thin, so this is a little bit beefier. And then like I mentioned, get a ring terminal. You can get a whole little set like this, or if you bought the other set that I mentioned in some of my other videos, you can get the heat shrink insulated ones. And then find yourself a screw you can use, and then drill a hole, and then just screw it in here. And make sure you scrape off some of the paint so you can get a good ground. So once you add that ground in there, all you need to do is turn the key to the on position, and you'll see your gas gauge is all of a sudden fixed. At least that was my case anyways. Now unfortunately I can't really show you guys what it looked like before, because even if I disconnect that ground, for some reason my gas gauge is reading correctly now even without that fix. But prior, I guarantee you, was not doing that. And I think it has to do with the fact that I upgraded to a big 3 and I added new grounds to the engine block and I added a new ground to the battery. And maybe that's what fixed my problem. So if you're having that problem, maybe try there first, to clean all your connections, get a good clean solid surface for your grounds, and see if that fixes your gas gauge. But I know that this for sure fixed it when I first bought the truck. Now if you want to know if this is going to fix your problem and you don't want to drill a hole into the sheet metal, you could potentially just connect a wire that's long enough straight to the battery ground and see if that fixes your gas gauge. And if it does, then you know that you can just drill into the sheet metal and put the self-tapping screw in and then call it a permanent fix. One other thing that happened when I added that ground was the fact that the gas gauge actually went all the way down now. And before I wouldn't see a low gas light, and now I actually see the low gas light indicator. And so before it was stuck at the quarter tank, and now it goes past that, and so the gauge knows when it's low enough, the gas light comes on, and you know that you're running low on gas. Alright you guys, hopefully that information was helpful. Hopefully it fixes your gas gauge problems. I know there's a technical service bulletin on recalibrating the fuel gauge. I don't think that's really the problem. At least it wasn't for me. Try the ground trick, see if that works. If not, what's the worst that can happen? Just tape it back up and put it back the way it was. So hopefully this video was helpful for you. If it was, don't forget to hit the like button. If you like content like this, consider subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. And I'll leave all the information about the wire color and some of the tools in the description so you guys can get them if you need it. And as always guys, have a nice day and stay safe out there.